I remember the heat first. Not from fire, from engines. Hundreds of them, idling bumper to bumper on the interstate, cooking the air until it shimmered off the hoods like a mirage. I was 7 cars back from a green light that hadn't mattered in 20 minutes. Horns blaring, someone screaming 2 lanes over, a woman dragging a suitcase between cars. Sirens somewhere behind me, getting louder, going nowhere. Thick black smoke rolling from a pileup I couldn't see. And through all of it, not a single car moved. Not 1 inch. I sat there with my hands on the wheel, watching civilization jam itself into a knot it would never untangle. You won't die running from zombies. You'll die sitting in traffic. Everyone has the same plan. You've probably thought about it. Grab your keys, grab your family, throw the bags in the trunk and drive. Get out of the city, head for the mountains, find somewhere safe. It feels so logical. It feels like the obvious move. And that's the problem. Because when 7 million people all have the same obvious move at the same time, it stops being a plan. It becomes a stampede with seatbelts. I watched it happen. I watched a 4-lane highway turn into a parking lot in less than 40 minutes. And it didn't start with zombies. It started with fear. This plan fails before you even leave your street. The first hour is where everything breaks. I watched people blow through red lights at 60 miles an hour in T-bone minivans. I watched a school bus try to U-turn on a 2-lane road and jackknife across both lanes. Parents racing to schools. Employees abandoning offices. Everyone flooding every road at once with no coordination, no traffic control, no plan beyond go. Emergency vehicles couldn't get through. Ambulances sat trapped behind pickup trucks. Fire engines blared their horns into walls of metal that had nowhere to move. I remember seeing a cop car try to drive on the shoulder and clip a guardrail. It spun sideways and blocked the only gap left. Within 90 minutes, every major road in my city was frozen. Not slow, frozen. And it wasn't coming back. But traffic isn't the real killer. Highways are designed for flow. Constant, predictable, cooperative flow. 1 car stalls on a 3-lane highway, and the ripple reaches 2 miles back in under 4 minutes. I learned that later, but I saw it first. A sedan overheated in the center lane, just stopped, steam pouring from the hood. The cars behind it swerved. One clipped another. Nothing major, just a cracked bumper, but both drivers got out. Now 2 lanes were blocked. Within 10 minutes, nothing behind them moved. Fuel started running out next. People had been idling for hours, air conditioning blasting, engines burning through whatever was in the tank. I watched a man in a white SUV just turn his car off, open the door, and walk away. Then another. Then a dozen. Cars left sitting with doors open, blocking everything. The highway became a museum. Rows and rows of empty vehicles baking in the sun, stretching to the horizon. Silent. Still. Like a snapshot of the last normal day. Now you're trapped in the worst place imaginable. Here's what nobody thinks about. Sound. Every one of those cars was screaming. Horns held down by panicking hands. Engines revving against bumpers. Car alarms triggered by collisions nobody bothered to deal with. People yelling for help. Babies crying. Glass breaking. It was a wall of noise, miles long, echoing off concrete barriers and overpasses. And in this world, noise is a dinner bell. I realized it before most people did. Every honk, every scream, every engine pushed into the red was a signal broadcasting our exact position to everything out there that hunted by sound. We weren't just stuck. We were advertising. And you're trapped in a metal box. The trap tightens fast. No fuel, no movement. No exits because the on-ramps and off-ramps clogged first. Thousands of people packed into a narrow concrete corridor with nowhere to go. I watched the mood shift. The anger turned to silence. The silence turned to whispering. People stopped honking because they started to understand what the noise was doing. But it was already too late. The sound had carried for miles, and when the first ones came, they didn't come from one direction. They came from everywhere the sound had reached. The highway became a feeding ground, not because people couldn't fight, because they couldn't move. Pinned between steel doors and concrete walls, shoulder to shoulder with strangers, every one of them just as trapped. And then the worst decision happens. People started running. I watched it from a highway overpass. Doors flew open in waves, like dominoes falling down the lanes. First one person, then 10, then hundreds pouring out of their vehicles and sprinting between the rows. No direction, no destination, just a way. Some climbed over hoods, some crawled under trucks. Kids separated from parents in seconds. I watched a man trip over a guardrail cable and disappear into the ditch. Nobody stopped for him. The herd moved, and you moved with it, or you got trampled. Abandoned cars with doors wide open, belongings scattered across the asphalt. Purses, water bottles, a child's backpack sitting on the center line. The road looked like a crime scene before the crime was even over. I realized something that day that changed how I think about all of this. The road is the first thing that dies. Not the power grid, not the water supply, the road. Because the road depends on something no other system depends on: cooperation. Millions of strangers silently agreeing to follow the same rules at the same time. The moment that agreement breaks, the road doesn't slow down. It stops, permanently. Every highway, every freeway, every bridge and tunnel becomes a tomb filled with metal and glass, and everything people thought they needed. I learned that the hard way. I learned it sitting in the driver's seat of a car that would never move again, watching the sky turn orange and listening to sounds I will never forget. The roads died on day one, and once the roads are gone, most people have no backup plan, no second option, no way out that doesn't involve walking through the worst of it with nothing but what they can carry. I think about that every single day, because once the roads are gone, there's only one place left to go.